to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, welcome in. Tuesday, July 7th, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. That's F-O-O-T, Footballers, not to be confused with.
Not be a football?
No football.
Bro, we're done. We're done with that.
Tapping out for 4 years? Come back later.
On to the real football.
That's pretty embarrassing, though. That's pretty embarrassing.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So
That was pretty embarrassing.
Well, what you missed, Mike, is I played goalie for the United States last night, and this was my first time playing soccer or football. So my bad, America.
Yeah, and our country says goodbye to soccer for another 4 years, but that is not what this show is about. We're happy to be back with you. It is a Tuesday episode. We begin our divisional breakdown episodes.
Man. It's go time, baby.
Yeah, something happens over the summer when you hit a certain point, and then the highlights that you're watching of players start to get you tingly. Like you're just ready for the season to begin and for things to actually matter. And to draft Jahmyr Gibbs at number 1 in our league of record. Any of those things.
That'll be fun for you.
On the way. But today we're talking AFC North. Divisional breakdown shows begin, as do 3 shows a week. We are into that time of the year. 5 shows a week starting in August. We've got our big live event at the end of August. We've got the kickoff to the season shortly after that.
The draft kit is flowing. The updates
are going.
Nice.
Yeah, I got you back.
Nice. Driving bars.
That was the first thing that that was great. You guys are a rhyming duo.
Oh, we're back. We
but we didn't get to say it because we pre-recorded last week's shows. We were all on separate family trips, getting some vacation time in before the season begins. Ironically, Jason was on a cruise. We went to the Caribbean.
Yes, I went to the Heat.
Mike and I were both in Alaska, not together.
Correct.
You were in Anchorage.
Yes.
Were you there the whole time?
Did you guys run into each other?
No,
I didn't go to Anchorage.
Pretty big.
I was in Anchorage for most of the time, but then I was in Girdwood for a few days.
That sounds made up. Girdwood?
Yeah. Shout out to the 20
the
people
Girds.
that live. Dude, they were having like this huge event, and I was like, "What people live in?"
Oh, the Girdwood Fest?
Oh man,
yeah.
You don't even know.
I thought about going. But no, we cruised to Alaska. I'd never been on a cruise before. That was fun. And it was much colder than wherever you were, Jason.
Yeah.
You were sweating?
Yes.
But we're excited to be back. We didn't get a chance to talk about July 1st is when the draft analyzer released. So the UDK in its full form, I guess, is available now. So you can basically, sync with your league, analyze your draft, see a breakdown of basically your strengths and weaknesses, how you align with each of us, different tips and tricks based on your roster. It's a great tool you'll be using a lot over the next couple of months into your regular drafts. We also have a big upgrade coming to the UDK very, very soon.
It's very exciting. And it's going to work with the draft analyzer very well to help you guys prepare for drafts.
It's probably the biggest feature being added since we've ever launched the UDK. And it's not at an extra cost or anything. You just get a huge upgrade to the UDK. It should be, I think, next week or 2.
Whoa.
You might see it appear.
Just log in, go to myudk.com and look from time to time.
Say,
download the app.
Where would someone
I think the app is
purchase such an incredible
will be
tool
first? Yeah.
The app will be the place where that finds its way first.
UltimateDraftKit.com.
Yeah. So, but lots to talk about there. We've got news to catch you up on. Let's get into it right now.
News and notes from around the league.
If possible, Brandon Ayuk has become crazier since we left.
Oh, yeah, it's possible. It is possible because he's proven every video he posts gets crazier and crazier. And I remember the Antonio Brown hit that changed him.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Brandon Ayuk one. I thought he was not playing football while he went crazy, but something happened. If you are unaware, he just is basically posting videos of himself on the reg, just going crazy, just talking nonsense.
He has been very vocal of that he would like to be released by the 49ers and then go sign with the Washington Commanders to play with Jaden Daniels, his best friend, who now he is in a fight with online in social media, and then some people are saying it's fake.
Listen,
didn't seem
here's exactly how the NFL
very
works.
Weird.
It works this way for psychiatric problems. It works this way for legal problems. If you can still run 22 miles an hour on the field, he will find a way to play football. A team will endure anything.
Maybe.
And if you listen to George Kittle talk about Brandon Ayuk, despite saying, hey, if you want him, you get a deal with all of that, he still said, I mean, he's running faster than he ever ran before the injury. I think he will find his way into a football field.
Is he's on a football team, and that's his
No,
problem.
I
if
get
he
it.
was released, if he was a free agent, he would absolutely find a buyer. But the San Francisco 49ers have the option to just say
he was put onto what the left.
I've never heard of that
left
before.
team list or
the
something?
left team list.
If if he wasn't good at football, we would never talk about him again. That's all I'm saying. And I think we'll talk about him again. I don't know if it'll be this year. I don't know when it'll be.
I don't know.
But if you can run 22 miles an hour and play wide receiver and get that contract and you still got it, then you'll find a team.
The problem is all the power is with the 49ers.
Oh, I get it.
And
yeah,
with
and
this new
they
list,
can give him a smack.
well, I'm saying with the
and-
list which we are just hearing about, this left team list.
Yeah.
That seems like you just see you later until Brandon Ayuk wants to actually talk to us and play ball.
Yeah, this
and
is
that'll happen at some
from
point.
a couple hours ago. Brandon Ayuk says he won't be filing for reinstatement because he doesn't want to do business with the team. Under this scenario, the 49ers can leave him on the left squad list. He would remain on the team but not count against the roster or receive pay. So that's
No, he's received a lot of pay already.
well, yes, in the past.
Patrick Mahomes reported by Albert Breer that he's trending towards being cleared for 11-on-11 work at the start of training camp.
Okay, we'll take it.
Kirk Cousins took all the first-team reps in the offseason practices.
Yep, that makes sense.
Well, it's because Mendoza was
Oh yeah, he was cruising.
He was
with
on
you.
a cruise.
How do you know he was on a cruise, Andy? Tell us.
Because my son took a picture with him. That was a random thing to find on an Alaskan cruise.
Yeah.
That's where we got all the information that Cousins is taking all the first team reps.
Here's what happened. We were on the cruise, and as one does, you get texts from your kids rather than seeing them. So I was getting a text from my son on the cruise that said, Fernando Mendoza is on board. And I said, no, he's not. He's at OTA. He's getting reps with the team. That doesn't make any sense. And then I got a picture.
Yeah.
And
it was
indeed
him.
he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, the process here for the Raiders is pretty simple. You're going to let Kirk Cousins play some games. You're going to probably lose them. Eventually the groundswell will be strong enough to get your rookie in there. And, it's not like there's a laundry list of wide receivers that were like, oh boy, we really need one of these quarterbacks to give us value. Are they the weirdest team
The Raiders?
when it comes to the wide receiver depth chart you've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean they're up there with the Dolphins and some other teams where it's like I don't know, but the truth is they have 2 stars.
Yes.
And it's just a weird combination where I guess it's like the Cardinals, right? You've got a superstar tight end and running back, and that's where you expect most of the work to go.
I mean, Jalen Naylor definitely picked the right team to sign with to look real nice. Chris Rodriguez, there was a report from The Athletic saying don't be surprised if he carves out an important role. There was also a report.
The quotes,
Yeah,
don't be surprised.
I know.
If he could do something.
We got to do more of those.
Oh, I know. We got to
have
break
full
news.
authority to do those kind of posts.
It is.
Listen, don't be surprised if insert name here plays football for them.
Hey,
I said with all due respect.
it didn't happen. Oh, I said don't be surprised. I didn't say it was gonna happen.
Were you surprised when it didn't happen? Listen, LaQuint Allen was making headlines last week as well. I told this to Jason yesterday, not to buy into hype train too much because we've got it from all 3 now. LaQuint Allen should be third down back for Jacksonville. They like him. They want to use him there. Chris Rodriguez is a thumper. He was he was at Kentucky with Liam Cohen, and he 1,200 yards, and maybe he's the goal line back. And then Bashal Tutin, the younger, player with more upside. There's a chance Jacksonville is a really great offense with two frustrating situations at wide receiver and in the backfield.
Could be.
Because, on one hand,
I won't be surprised.
Yeah. Don't be surprised.
I won't be surprised.
No.
Whatever you say, I won't be surprised.
You will not be surprised. Both Liam Cohen has shown a willingness
Expect the unexpected, everyone.
Spread the ball around. So there's one player that benefits from success on offense no matter what happens in the backfield or in the wide receiver room, and that's Trevor Lawrence. But Brenton Strange just got a contract. Parker Washington, have you seen the numbers for slot wide receivers with Liam Cohen in his career?
They're pretty good.
They're unbelievable. Everybody he's ever had. And that's Parker Washington. And then all the offseason hype. Brian Thomas Jr., the chemistry is really there this year. You got Travis Hunter still. Oh, you got Jacoby Myers. I mean, that's a lot of mouths to feed. And then, we're going to pass to some of these running backs. And then LaQuint Allen's going to catch the ball. Like, Bashal Tutin can catch it.
Yes, he can.
So I don't know. I feel like it is a little bit messy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reason to go in on Horseboy if you want.
Oh, man.
I forgot about that.
You forgot about the
there he is.
Horseboy
There he is with his fake
Trevor
haircut.
Lawrence, young stallion, he'll be valuable for fantasy. I don't think there's a world where he gets as much rushing touchdowns as he had last year, so the passing numbers will have to come up. But it could happen. I mean, losing Travis Etienne Jr., being in a second year in the system, I think it. I like Trevor Lawrence.
What is our rule here? What are we doing with the Etienne thing?
You just,
I don't know.
If the first announcer says Etienne, we're good, right?
It is like that's why we say Travis Etienne Jr.
Exactly. You have to say the whole thing.
Yes.
Travis.
No, don't do this.
Hey,
Don't
you
do
said
this.
it.
I made a mistake.
Don't be surprised if I say Travis now.
Having said all that, I am still very, very in on Tutin for the time being.
Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised if I change my opinion.
Are you? I mean, he's in my guy category?
We're pretty close, man. I am very excited about the player, the opportunity, and the offense. It all makes sense.
I don't know, man.
Another report comes out. Don't be surprised if Chris Rodriguez carves out an important role, but he's not even playing football right now.
They expect him to be full go for training camp. That's the last report. But no, he's not playing football. But clearly not a lot of people are playing football. They're taking cruises right now.
Up till this point, nothing super matters because the training camp can change everything.
Bashal Tutin for me is the running back 27 in my UDK rankings. I don't know where he is for you guys.
Let me find him real quick.
I'm not a subscriber, so I wouldn't know.
I have him at 24 currently.
Okay.
24 as well.
I have C-Rod, Crod, as we call him.
Crod.
At 47.
49, so we're similar.
Okay. Al said Brandon Ayuk needs to take a cruise and not buy the Wi-Fi package. You are not wrong. The gap between being crazy and letting people know you're crazy,
it's an important one.
You need a bigger gap than that.
And you know what is usually the protective layer? The agent who he fired. Hey,
you're right.
Get an agent, and they will be like,
I am my own PR.
Give me your phone right now.
Our guy needs some friends.
He needs to be grounded.
He needs some friends right now.
He filmed himself in a closet taking 50s out of a backpack and throwing them on the ground.
He filmed himself just getting closer and closer
Brandon.
to the camera, like just circling back and then be like, "Look, I'm closer. Look, I'm closer. Look, I'm closer." Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I saw it.
I did not see
It's
this.
a great screenshot for different reactions now. Yeah, don't buy the Wi-Fi.
He was so good.
Somebody go
1 year.
Somebody go disconnect his router, and he'll never know.
He would never know.
He'll just be talking into his phone, and no one will see it.
Yuck. Someone help him, please.
Yuck. Okay. We'll take a quick break because I want to jump into the AFC North divisional breakdown.
Let's get divisional.
All right, it is that time of year. This does feel like the series of shows where we turn the corner on the season, getting ready to start in training camp. Was that a new graphic? Up there?
No, sir.
Okay. Well,
It was new last year.
well, I just watched it for the first time. It's pretty nice. I like it. All right. A reminder of what these shows are all about. We're starting with the AFC North. They are a general overview of the offseason changes. It might be about, different players that were added, subtracted, rookies,
Coaches.
head coaching changes. Yep. How the offense might function this year. Our takes on win totals, who could win the division. We looked back at the stats, and it was pretty close last year, I think, in terms of getting, I might have won by 1 pick or something like that, but we were all pretty close on getting some of the teams. I think it was 10-9-9 on getting teams right in terms of division picks. Here we are, the AFC North. If you remember,
this one, just like everyone expected.
it was decided in Week 18. If you remember, Pittsburgh, last-second touchdown, Calvin Austin. Yes, the Steelers won the division. 10-7. And you know what? Just saying it like that, I'm going to get so much hate. But let's be honest. Like, what was that team? Like,
they won 7 in their one-score games. They went 7-3, and we've seen this so many time after time after time. When the ball bounces your way in all the close scoring games, it's not sticky.
Well, I mean, it might be for them because they just never seem to lose. But huge change. The Mike Tomlin era is over. During 19 seasons as a head coach, Mike Tomlin never finished with a losing record.
Sounds like someone who just lost his job.
No, he walked away.
Yeah.
He walked away, Mike.
Yeah.
Their win total last year was 8.5. Vegas's preseason win total. They were 7-3 in one-score games. This year, their preseason win total, 8.5. And Warren Sharp has their strength of schedule at 18th. But a first-place schedule means they'll be playing in New England, in in Philly. Also, they'll play in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they will.
Denver, they'll play this year. They were not the reason that we say that, and it's not look, on one hand, incredible job by Mike Tomlin and this team. They always find a way to be resilient, to win close games. I would not just attribute that to luck. I would attribute it to veteran quarterback mixed with good coaching. But this was the 26th ranked offense in yards per game. So it wasn't an offense in fantasy that we enjoyed. I mean, when Kenny Gainwell leads the way for your team in terms of receiving, after you pay DK Metcalf, none of the hyper excitement around the tight ends paid off.
I was looking at they have the most vacated targets in the NFL.
Yes.
And I was like, how? They didn't lose anyone. They lost like Calvin Austin and Jonnu Smith. Oh, Kenny Gainwell. By
the way, those were probably DK Metcalf was bad.
Yeah.
So those were your targets. Jonnu Smith was a big target.
Well, this is going to be a crazy change because you have both. You have a big change in the players and at the same time a big change in the philosophy of the team. Like Tomlin was a known commodity. And while obviously you've got Mike McCarthy, who we've got plenty of years with him, this is a new experience, new team, new players, whereas Mike Tomlin, I just felt like you kind of knew exactly what you were going to get. Hopefully you have much more passing this year. I think we've seen that from Mike McCarthy. The fact that they went out and got Michael Pittman, traded for him, paid him. They drafted Jeremy Bernard with one of their high draft capital picks.
Yeah, it was a second-round pick.
I mean, this looks like a team that wants to pass the ball more than what Mike Tomlin did.
Well, I mean, even if they don't, the fact you have the most vacated targets, Jonnu Smith, Kenny Gainwell, Calvin Austin leaving, Pittman should get a ton of targets. They brought in Rico Dowdle. Jeremy Bernard will have an opportunity to crack into the rotation, but I also think
he's competing with Roman Wilson right now for.
Okay, so he'll win that.
He probably should, yes.
I will say this, like with the vacated targets,
I won't be surprised.
You won't be. Thank you, Mike. You are really going in on that line. I think Pat Freiermuth is the biggest sleeper on the team.
Really?
In terms of
Muth?
I think he's the biggest sleeper on the team. Yeah, I think
so twite.
I
mean,
got
to get Luth again.
Jonnu
You're
Smith,
saying because of the Kenny Gainwell type of targets that are vacated?
and Jonnu Smith being gone. I mean, both of those situations, and Michael Pittman will get his. I just think if you wanted to tell me, like, pick a tight end that just out of nowhere has 10 touchdowns this year, I think Pat Freiermuth is my answer to that question. It doesn't mean that
if Arthur were there, I think I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's another big change. Brian Angelico is taking over. Arthur Smith is gone.
Because last year, they were tied for the lowest percentage of targets to the wide receiver position at 45%, which is...
Yeah, but what percentage of your own targets, if you're a quarterback, would you throw to DK Metcalf?
Me?
Yeah, you personally. Like you're dropping back to pass.
Me? I don't even like it, but I still would hyper-target him.
Yeah.
He's gigantic.
Yeah, it would have been like big. 30% last year.
So, look, the offense is going to be something we're paying close attention to in terms of what does Aaron Rodgers have left. It's one thing to say they want to pass it more. It's another thing to say, like, the depth of target.
Yeah.
It fits Pittman. It fits Freiermuth. It fits backfield targets for Jaylen Warren. It doesn't fit.
Heidenreich.
Yeah, go. Sure.
Seventh,
just throw more names
round
in there.
pick.
7th round.
Yeah.
Pick.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Swiss Army.
Let me just no.
Swiss Navy.
No,
Yes, thank
you don't get to talk about
I know
any Pittsburgh depth at running back for 1 year.
I agree.
You get 1 year.
All right, I'll take my.
You get 1 year off.
All right. I agree.
He's also going to be on the practice squad,
Hopefully.
so enjoy that. Maybe. So let's talk fantasy though. Let's talk how we're actually viewing. I think the big names: Metcalf, Pittman, Jaylen Warren, and maybe the Rico Dowdle. What that looks like in the equation.
Yeah, for me, when I went back and I watched the tape of Aaron Rodgers, he looked like he had to check everything down. When I watched his clean pocket 20, plus air yard throws, it was really bad. It was. I mean, I don't know that he really has that in his arsenal anymore. And I don't think it was a weapon problem. I mean, Calvin Austin can get open deep. DK Metcalf is, good enough to receive those targets. They were very bad. This is why, personally, I have Michael Pittman leading in targets, because I think they might not be as valuable as deep down the field, but I think the possession type of receiver is something they really, really need. So for fantasy purposes, I don't think there's going to be a lot to love here. But I do have personally Pittman in the lead at targets.
Mike, if you look at your rankings, do you have Pittman or DK Metcalf leading in fantasy points in like a half point?
I have Metcalf higher with just some more touchdown opportunity, but neither of them are ranked out of control. Like they don't look like primary targets.
Right.
I would say in the draft.
I have Metcalf ahead of Pittman in fantasy points total. Targets were more ahead in Pittman, and both outside the top 30.
The number one Pittsburgh player off the board in fantasy right now. Do you want to guess the round?
I
feel
like it's
no.
Oh,
Does Metcalf drop into the 8th? I'll go 7th.
The first Pittsburgh player off the board in fantasy right now is Jaylen Warren in the 6th round.
Okay.
Jaylen Warren. One thing to pay attention to there, like the workload has increased year over year, averaged 16 opportunities a game last year. But if you look at his 5-zone carries, the opportunities he had to get into the end zone, he converted 4 of 14. So 29%. Whereas you look at Rico Dowdle, he converted 6 of his 8 opportunities last year in Carolina.
Yeah, the backfield I do think is interesting. Not sure which of them is going to end up being the leader, but just a reminder, Rico Dowdle played with Mike McCarthy when Rico had his breakout year in Dallas. What's that?
I said he really wanted to play for Mike McCarthy.
Well, he did when he broke out and had 1,000 rushing yards when he had to take the job away from Ezekiel Elliott. And Rico's not a nothing in the passing game. You don't think of him that way, but he's actually solid. Like his hands are fine and he can get it going. I'm not saying he's better than Jaylen Warren, but I'm saying in terms of him just being on the field, like he can operate in that part of the offense as well. So I lean.
You lean on the Rico
based
side?
off of ADP and everything. I lean on the Rico side.
Yeah, it's an argument to be made that you get the discount to take the second guy going late. I assume he's at least a round later, but sometimes in mocks I've seen him go like back to back.
He's a round and a half later.
I would take the bet on Jaylen Warren simply because Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy, they've played together before. Aaron Rodgers is going to check the ball down, but Aaron Rodgers wants, like, he's got the quick step drop where he is timing and rhythm, and he wants his guy in the exact right spot. I think Dowdle is a better athlete, more explosive, but Warren the way that Rodgers talked about him last year, I know he got injured and then Kenny Gainwell kind of stepped in, but the way he talked about Warren was like that veteran who he can rely on. And so I do think that's who Rodgers is going to want on the field.
He could that's a huge part of it that we don't know yet. But just like Rico, and his 2 year we'll go the past 3 years, his catch rate is great at 77% or higher. Yards per catch 8.5 down to 6.4 and then 7.6 this past year with Carolina. There's just he has it is what I'm saying. So if I'm making the bet in the draft, while Warren probably profiles as the pass catcher, there's a chance that Rico's the first and second down guy, which he'll still get plenty of targets playing for Rodgers if that's his role. Plus goal line has me lean Dowdle in the draft.
By the way, the last 3 teams and seasons that Rodgers has played, 14 fantasy points, 15 fantasy points, 14 fantasy points per game. We are many years removed from.
Yeah. Now split that up amongst all the targets.
Yeah, that is a huge problem. I will say only 54 targets for Freiermuth last year in this offense. He's had seasons of 98 and 70s multiple times. Just keep it in the very deep recesses of your mind and probably don't worry about it too much. All right, Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens. The AFC North is full of a lot of transition from, long tenures of the head coaching position. Last year, the projected win total, 10.5. They were 2-5 in one-score games. So you talk about the inverse of what the Steelers did. That's something that you could see, especially with Lamar Jackson being healthy. 2-5 is pretty extreme. They went 8-9. Their win total this year is up to 11.5. I think there's a lot of excitement about Baltimore. They were 10th in points per game last year on the offensive side, 15th in yards per game. But a brand new head coach, Jesse Minter, Declan Doyle, year 1 offensive coordinator. So before we get into the names and the players, just your reaction to the change. Harbaugh and Tomlin had been the rivalry for years and years and years. Now you've got a young defensive-minded head coach in Jesse Minter. How do you feel about the transition?
For the transition, I'm fine. Overall, we side on you'd rather have your offensive mastermind being your head coach because Declan Doyle's coming in. He is a protege of the Ben Johnson system, which that's super exciting. We had the McVay guys leave out and scatter amongst the NFL, and it really those are the teams that we go after for fantasy football. Ben Johnson, I think, is going to have the same type of tree. His offense, Ben Johnson's smarter than you are. That's just how I feel about him. So Declan Doyle coming down is exciting for this year. If I'm Baltimore, I'd be concerned that if you're good, you're going to lose Declan Doyle. But that's
longer term.
Yes, that's the zoomed out long-term version. But for this year,
I think there's a lot of excitement
exciting
for him. Yeah, and I think that the win total says a lot about what's expected. Jason, do you have thoughts on that transition?
Yeah, I don't see it as an up arrow because Todd Monken was someone we loved. It's not like you're going from a bad offensive mind. Todd Monken in year 2 years ago with Lamar was unbelievable. Lamar put up fantasy breaking stats again, and so I do like Declan Doyle. I think he might be good, but good to me is sideways. The win percentage I think is fantastic. The fact that they're projected for 11.5 with the 6th easiest schedule coming up, that gives me excitement more for really Derrick Henry. The running game, I think that obviously at some point the immortal one will
at some point
have to shed his his Yeti fur, but until it happens, I'm going to assume that I'm going to take the age-ism deduction.
Equation.
Yeah, and I'll be drafting Derrick Henry.
You just want that guy that's built same size as like a Jalen Brunson.
He's got the pounds on him, but same height. Yes, that's such a funny.
We were just laughing at whenever you compare NBA players' height to the biggest guys in the NFL, how comical it is. But Jalen Brunson's the same height as.
If Derrick Henry were on an NBA court, you'd be like, "Who's that little guy?"
Yeah, it's crazy, crazy.
The King Yeti.
8 straight season of double-digit rushing touchdowns for Derrick Henry. 27 carries inside the 5. So he is an outlier. I'm with you. I would buy into another year of Derrick Henry. I mean, what are your options for if you're Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean
you're
behind
not going
Derrick Henry,
anywhere
it's Justice Hill, Rasheen Ali.
Boy,
I know
Justice Hill's always around.
Yes, he is.
They drafted a guy that we liked in the draft process in Adam Randall because he's a converted wide receiver to running back, and also when they say they drafted, the owner drafted and handpicked him.
Justice Hill hasn't had a key to the building in 5 years, but he just waits for somebody to open the front door and he slips in.
And yet he remains the insurance back.
He is. And we've had a lot of conversations, I think, about the wide receiver position and what to expect. Eklund Doyle, like you said, there's excitement. The schedule, it's good. Zay Flowers has been their dude in the wide receiver room. It's been an offense where we've seen it filter through the tight end position. We've had Mark Andrews have elite years. We've had Isaiah Likely involved in the offense. Zay Flowers is their guy.
His target share has gone up each of the 3 seasons.
I think I'm softening a negative stance on Flowers for a couple of reasons.
Yes.
I don't think that, I'm not going to look at like acquisitions of Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt as, target challenges to Zay Flowers. And also it's the draft cost. I mean, if I can get Zay Flowers in the 5th round.
Hey, welcome aboard.
That's just too good of an opportunity.
It's too good.
I mean, Lamar Jackson had 9% of his attempts as in-zone attempts. That's the highest rate in the entire NFL. He likes Zay Flowers, and I don't think that we should – if you told me he's getting drafted at where he finished last year, I'm out.
Yeah, he was, the worst wide receiver 7 of all time, but he was still the wide receiver 7, but you're not drafting him like that. You're drafting him as a mid wide receiver 2.
He might be my wide receiver 3.
Absolutely. In the 5th round, that's fine. And so I'm fine drafting a guy there that is going to be the leader. Zay Flowers is the leader of a good offense. That's all you know. Now, I also feel like we can reliably say we know he's not getting double-digit touchdowns. I don't think at the end of his career you're going to be like, oh, that was his outlier with 10 touchdowns. I think it'll be like, oh, he had 6
he's
as
been
his career high.
5.45. You're not going to get that. Those end zone targets that you're talking about,
those go to Mandrews.
Yeah, those don't go to. There's not a lot of those going to Zay Flowers, but it is. Let me see how many targets he had inside the red zone. He had 11 total targets in the red zone, 1 5-zone target, 5 10-zone targets, had 1 touchdown in the red zone last year.
But what I like about Zay is the talent of the player. I think Zay Flowers is a top-tier wide receiver. He was not the archetype of, the big number 1 guys
he's
out
5'9",
there.
180.
But how shifty he is and his ability to get open are what's exciting about Zay Flowers. The proof is already there. Target share going up 3 straight years at 28% target share last year. That's an elite target share. And I think that I view the change of offense here as a positive. A lot of the times you're like, oh, I would like things to stay the same. But the fact that it's changing and Zay Flowers will clearly be the number 1 option in the passing game, like it could get better. And like you said,
are you trying to project like a Amon-Ra St. Brown situation for him with the Ben Johnson tree?
I mean, it's the like that's the easy logical comparison, of saying a smaller guy, which Amon-Ra is smaller, but Zay Flowers is smaller than Amon-Ra, so it's not a 1-to-1. It makes sense for that type of a thing to happen, where it's like right now. The wide receiver 2 on the Baltimore Ravens is and remains Rashad Bateman.
For the next 4 years, he's under contract.
Who just keeps getting contract extensions with the Baltimore Ravens despite never coming through with anything. And then, with Lane and Surratt being drafted this year, they're fighting to overtake Bateman. They aren't fighting to take over for Zay Flowers. So,
by the way, Bateman, through his 9 healthy games last year, on pace for 60 targets and 30 catches.
So a player
4 more years.
A player going where Zay Flowers is going, knowing I'm getting 25% at least of the targets. He's really interested.
Are either of you taking a shot on one of the rookies?
No. Not in redraft.
Yeah. I'm probably just going to
the fact you had to put it that way is part of the problem. The fact that it reminds me of when we had a handful of Green Bay Packers rookies that you could have taken a shot on years ago, and it was like
was Jacoby in the third?
Jacoby
round?
Lane was drafted ahead of Elijah. I don't remember,
but not by a lot. I mean, it was like third and fourth round. And here's my problem with it is I feel like you have to win. You got to win the lottery twice. You got to have the rookie have the first-year impact in the third or fourth round of the draft on a team that hasn't had anybody outside of Flowers make any impact. Then you got to get the right one.
Yeah.
So that is something. Look, if you watch training camp, and
you're right, and one emerges,
and one is like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. Then maybe there's room. But
I'm rooting for you, Elijah. I really
you do like
Surratt.
Surratt a lot. I would say there's two more major conversations on this team. One is Lamar Jackson. Just like, do you get the bounce back fantasy season from Lamar?
I am fully in on Lamar.
Last year, I feel the same way.
I'm deleting it. He was injured 4 different,
it was tough
missed
after
games.
week 9.
And he's Lamar. They're 11.5 win total. I'm totally fine drafting Lamar.
Just for context, he was the number 1 quarterback in 2024 with 25 points a game. He dropped to 16 a game last year.
That's his lowest since his rookie year.
He had 349 rushing yards last year, and I know he was hurt, but that is
I'm with Jay.
His yards per attempt were way down, and you might get a value on him. And then the last one is just the conversation around Mark Andrews. The statistical output for Andrews has declined year over year. Not the same player, certainly a red zone threat at all times, but 11 fantasy points per game to 9 to 6, only 70 targets the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's a touchdown machine.
Yeah,
he could easily have 10 touchdowns this year, and you'll be fine for where you draft him in fantasy. If he doesn't get a touchdown in the game, he's no longer the possession guy. He's not going to be up there at 1,000 yards. Last year, in games where he didn't have a receiving touchdown, averaged 4.2 fantasy points per game. However, he's free. I don't even know if he's drafted in.
He's also
every
free
league.
of Isaiah Likely.
And so, Isaiah Likely being gone.
They brought in Smythe, so don't worry about it.
And they paid Andrews, so he's still going to be very involved on a good team. I'm fine. My strategy. I want one of those top-tier tight ends, and if not, I will grab whoever is left over.
No,
Mark
your strategy is Laporta at all costs, based on our last
Laporta
mock draft.
at a cost.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if he falls to a good enough price, sure. But I am fine with scrap leftovers when there's guys like Mark Andrews who could go out, be undrafted, and score 10 touchdowns.
Your mock draft ended up so good for you.
Getting
Josh Allen in the 5th round and then getting Laporta as late as you did.
It's like the 9th.
Your onesies were the biggest discounted players. It was great. We'll take a break. We'll talk Bengals. All right, Foot Clan, whether you are on the go or at home, T-Mobile, well, they're built to keep you connected wherever you're scouting your fantasy team. And that on-the-go part, that is important. With America's best network, you'll be connected to the latest news and player projections, so when you're on the clock, you can draft a winning team. I can think of so many situations where that element of being connected while you're on the go is fundamental to fantasy football success. I'm in the midst of multiple leagues right now where I am responding to trade offers. We are massaging the trade offer. We want to make sure that I'm the one that gets the player, not another player manager in our league. So trade offers when you're on the go, all the news that's breaking so you don't make a mistake. And my favorite thing, maybe I'll mention it. Look, you're sitting and you have a quiet moment somewhere out and about. You want to jump in the UDK. We got the player profiles. You can watch all of those in there with T-Mobile. You can jump in on the player projections and our stat projections and all the 130,000 words of content. Again, T-Mobile making that easy to do. Every bit of news. Things are changing all the time. New player contracts, all that good stuff. So from off-season to game day, every play is better with T-Mobile. What you got to do is visit T-Mobile.com/network. Fastest is based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data of national speed score results for the second half of 2025. The best mobile network in the U.S. is based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data, second half of 2025. All right, 2 teams we've talked about, 2 more to go. The 6-11 Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, man.
They had an 8.5 win total last year going into the season. They had a tough schedule. 10 of their games were against teams with a winning record, which was the most in the NFL, and a lot of those came down to the wire, and they didn't win a lot of those ones that came down to the wire. They were 3-5 in one-score games. We know Burrow The story with Burrow is when he plays football and has a healthy Chase and Higgins,
he's awesome.
It's pretty magma. And we also got to enjoy one of the worst defenses ever for Cincinnati.
Very enjoyable.
We'll talk about that momentarily, but they lost back-to-back games last year where they scored 37-plus points in both of them. They lost to the Jets 39-38. They lost to the Bears 47-42.
They gave up 39 points to the Jets?
Yeah.
I do not remember this.
Man, that defense
It's probably because
sucked.
you were too busy watching the fantasy points pile up on the offensive side. But the projected win total just jumped one game to 9.5. They have the third easiest strength of schedule, at least right now. That looks pretty good. Favored in 15 of 17 games, and they have a wild amount of games with huge lines, 50.4 as the total for a Dallas game. So crazy. But let's talk about the big picture here for the fantasy production of this team. Let's start with that defense that was so atrocious that meant he had to score a ton of points. They did spend a lot of time this offseason. They made the huge trade for Dexter Lawrence. Jonathan Allen is there. That's huge. I mean, they brought in a safety. They brought in a defensive end.
Their draft was focused there, rightly so.
I think it will be an improved defense, but normally you see those transitions take a couple of years to get to the point where, I think Dallas will be better than they were last year.
Yep.
I think Cincinnati will be better than they were last year. But when you're 31st, you got a long way to go.
Oh yeah, get a little better, but just stay
Just
bottom.
little.
Just stay bottom third. They coming off of last year where they could not rely on a defense. I think that even if the defense is improved, this is going to be an offense with the pedal to the floor to avoid their defense giving up late. I don't think this is going to be a team that's trying to, halfway through the third quarter, run the ball out, slow it down. This is Joe Burrow's team.
Can't.
Yeah, but even if they've got a lead and they think that they could do that, I think they're going to keep putting the ball in Burrow's hands, throw it a lot, score a ton of points. This is an offense that I think everyone wants, and
Yes.
while you're not going to get a discount on Chase, Burrow right now, isn't being overdrafted. He's
Are you
not
both
too expensive.
Lamar over Burrow in your rankings, or do you have Burrow higher? I think that's an interesting one for people because, Lamar right now, ADP-wise, is the cheapest he's been over the last 5 years in the fourth round. I'm guessing Burrow's in a lot of leagues going ahead of him.
Right now I've got Lamar in both 6-point and 4-point ahead of Burrow.
I have Burrow's ahead for me in 6-point.
Here's what I think
the format matters for these ones.
I don't feel like Cincinnati is a difficult projection of a team.
No.
What's wild is Zach Taylor is going into his 8th year. Every other head coach in this entire division is a first-year head coach. He's the longest tenured guy by a long stretch, and we just know what to expect. We know that he's not going to do anything to slow Burrow down or stop Burrow from throwing the ball as many times as he did last year. His final 6 weeks of the year, he was on a 17-game pace. Burrow was of 4,500 passing yards and 43 passing touchdowns. Now, there was a desperation to that team, trying to find a way to get close enough to where they could get help to get into the playoffs and all of that. Burrow is always going to be a little bit of an injury risk, I think. I think we'd all...
Yeah, he will be.
Even when you drop back, take the injury history aside, when you drop back and throw the ball that many times, it's a risk.
Well, we have 6 years of Joe Burrow, and 3 of them he's had catastrophic injury. Yeah, but the 3 where he's playing, the full season, he's throwing for over 4,500 yards and 30-plus touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, for fantasy, this is really easy. All 4 guys are good picks.
Burrow, Chase Brown,
even
T.
got
Higgins,
Chase
Jamar
Brown.
Chase.
Yep, those 4 where they're going in drafts, I am thrilled to have them on my team. I think they can be actual difference makers. I want pieces of this team, and the best part of getting pieces of this team is it's consolidated. No one else is really going to take away from those 4 players. So I think
I don't have a tight end to give you. You know what I mean? This is going to be
You do if T. Higgins misses time.
Mike Gesicki.
Yeah,
Sticky Gesicki.
That's the
I don't like that nickname.
but it rhymes. And
It's been
fun.
a while since we've brought it up, and I now am
The Bengals
scared of
they're
it.
just great. They're they're just so fantastic.
They're great for
fantasy.
They're very similar to Dallas. Legitimately, they're very similar situations.
They really are, because if George or CD misses time, I'm very interested in Jake Ferguson
but
at
otherwise,
that point. Otherwise, I'm not.
No, and you love Pickens, you love CD, you love Dak.
No,
I mean,
and, Chase Brown, to me, yet again, is one of, I think, the best picks at ADP.
One thing I didn't mention that I think, at least for these last two teams, is worth mentioning is the start you're going to get in fantasy from these players.
Mm-hmm.
The first 6 matchups for Baltimore, they're favored by 3.5, 7.5, 2.5, 8.5, 4.5, 6.5. They're playing now 4 road games, but they're favored in all of them. And for Cincinnati, they're favored in 5, but they have an early bye in week 6. So, I mean, that's just worth noting. But
they're favored in 4 of 5.
Sorry, 4 of the 5. Yep. Houston, they are not in week 2.
Which we could use a stronger start from.
Yes,
oh my
we really
gosh.
could.
It seems impossible for them to start strong.
Week 1, Burrow is always bad.
They're at home against Tampa.
He should be good, but it's always
scary.
Come on, you can do it this year, Burrow.
We didn't talk about him extensively, but Chase Brown, how safe do you view him as a fantasy pick today?
Incredibly.
Super duper safe.
He's like so perfect because he's not a thumper. So like you said, when they're not gonna have these big leads where they give the ball to a Derrick Henry that wears the game out, but he's always going to be out there on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He can catch the football. He was the 5th most receptions at the running back position.
Yeah, when they throw it to you and they give you touchdown opportunities and you're on a great offense, that's all I need.
Who was the rumored free agent for Cincinnati? There was somebody that they were talking about could go there at running back. I know it'll never happen because Chase Brown's
new ones.
Yeah.
There was
Kamara.
There was a passing Alvin Kamara, which is like when you located the source of it, it's absolute nothingness.
Oh, okay. Well,
also he could go there and I wouldn't care.
By the way, the funny thing, speaking of the Kamara news, I saw somebody break down the metrics between Travis Etienne Jr. last year and Kamara's numbers in terms of like all the efficiency metrics, and they were the same.
Really?
They were just the same. But talking about running the football, they were not.
That seems impossible.
Yeah, it was an NFL rumors thing about the Bengals being linked to Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
That's the last thing I want to do if I'm Alvin Kamara is leave.
Yeah, I don't.
Final year of just like.
Just
be a legend in that city.
But
he feels like Fitz in Arizona. He wasn't going to go.
If anything, or if nothing changes for Chase Brown, his competition will be soon-to-be 31-year-old Samaje Perine and Taj Brooks, a 6th-round pick, which Chase Brown was a later pick as well, and Taj Brooks has his supporters, but Brooks could not get on.
Like my dynasty team?
Your dynasty? You have Taj Brooks?
I don't know if I do anymore.
Probably.
I honestly don't. My dynasty team's nickname now is Matthew Golden and the Scraps. My team is so bad.
So it's just called the Scraps?
It's just called the Scraps. The rebuilding process in dynasty, just to give you the play-by-play, I haven't got to reflect on that yet because I've never done it.
How's it going?
It's miserable. It's necessary misery.
Yeah.
And it's multiple years if just you have to do it.
It's like construction, man.
Right.
While it's going on,
sucks.
You hate everything.
I want those lanes open.
Yeah, you're like
Mike,
those guys making a living.
Don't compare it to construction in your situation because my rebuild's going to be 5 years.
Well, it's very similar because once it's done, you're like, you forget.
Well,
you forget about the construction. You're just like, oh, this freeway now has 2 extra lanes.
Yeah, I don't have the supplies necessary to build the house right now. Okay,
you know who's been under construction for about 30 years? The Cleveland Browns.
Any day now.
They have not won the AFC North since 1989.
Okay. 30 was kind.
Falcon, when were you born?
96.
96, you freaking weirdo. Golly. So you've never seen Cleveland, atop the AFC North?
Nope.
Josh has. All right. Cleveland, 5-12 last year. He had a 5.5 win total. They delivered the 5. This year it's up at 6.5, guys. 4th easiest strength of schedule, and it's at 6.5 wins. No more Myles Garrett, so your reason to watch has gone down.
That's great news for the aforementioned Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, and
Cleveland's favored in 2 games this year. I think
against who?
Atlanta and Las Vegas.
Kyle.
Probably both home games.
Kyle, the Browns are favored against your Falcons.
That's got to feel bad.
That has to hurt so much.
I mean, obviously that game's got to be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Maybe in the winter.
Oh my gosh. And the old adage, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
What if you have
if you have none quarterbacks?
You also have none. Yeah, that's how the math works. 30th in points per game last year, or 30th in yards per game. You just said you love Todd Monken, but this is a tall task. Year 1 as a head coach. He's 60 years old. We looked this up. There are 8 first-time head coaches over the last 25 years that were 55 or more.
Good cutoff.
Yeah.
Didn't work out well for them.
They averaged 6.4 wins. Only Bruce Arians and Mike Zimmer lasted more than 3 years. Todd Monken, congrats on getting that job.
Yeah.
This was the one you're going to get.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't know that Todd Monken is a good head coach. There are plenty of great coordinators who are not made to be head coaches at 60. I think that's going to be even harder. But he's a good offensive mind, which is fun. Some of the things you've been hearing out of camp, which obviously this time of year, the only things you're going to hear are good. Oh, I really like, the offensive system and some of the changes. But they went out and they spent in the draft on
we liked it.
Yes, Concepcion and Denzel Boston.
We liked the players that they drafted. We kind of wish they would have gone to a situation that could have more impact for fantasy football earlier. But Concepcion, Denzel Boston
Boston's been making a lot of headlines.
Those are 2 players that we really liked. We liked them as prospects, and they're very. I like that they're different archetypes, and Concepcion, if you're going to do the surface level, well, Monken had Flowers. Concepcion is a Zay Flowers type of archetype of a player, so can he maximize what KC is good at?
This was a team that was tied for the lowest wide receiver target percentage in the NFL last year.
Yes, with the Steelers.
So, you have a situation where there is opportunity. One of the big questions about Cleveland is, do we care who the quarterback is? Yeah. I mean, because you kind of say, well, could it get worse? Watson in 2024 was dead last in EPA per play. Shedeur in 2025 was dead last in EPA per play. At the end of the day, I think my answer is still yes. I do care. I want somebody that's going to – I don't care if your EPA per play is – I do care. But – I just want somebody that's going to give some of, the Harold Fannin, Concepcion, Boston, opportunities to make plays. You're going to be losing a lot of ball games. You talk about what kept them in it last year. Myles Garrett was a big piece of the puzzle. Their defense was 4th in yards per game. They will be a worse defense. That is good for fantasy. I do care. I do care which guy emerges. And I just want opportunities for these young players. I want Harold Fannin to not be a sophomore flop.
This is the guy that hurts me the most in all of fantasy football, is Harold Fannin, because I love him. I think he is. We went into the offseason. When last season ended, I had Harold Fannin ahead of Tyler Warren and ahead of Colston Loveland. Then their teams changed. They got rid of DJ Moore. They got rid of Michael Pittman. It seemed like, okay, now there's clarity in those 2. I would clearly take them over. But Fannin was so
he's a great player.
Good. And in the games where Shedeur started, which started in week 12, and if you take out the injury game where he was good in fantasy because he got a touchdown, but he only played 20% of snaps. During that stretch with Shedeur in both of their rookie seasons, he was on pace for 142 targets, 31% team target share, almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdown pace. He was dominant. And I want to be in on him.
Yeah, I think the case you have right there is that you were the terrible team and a terrible offense and a terrible quarterback, Pro Bowler. But you still had the effectiveness of Fannin. I have zero fear about Boston and Concepcion hurting Fannin at all.
That is my fear.
I don't have any fear of that.
I think them as a tandem, even in year 1, is better than what was going on last
Judy
year.
It's better
Jerry
than
Judy's still on the
Judy
team,
and
everybody.
Duty.
It's better than what they had, but
year.
you also had David Njoku in this offense, and the numbers you just read
I
for
love him so much.
The numbers you just read for Fannin were outrageous. You just need – if your offense is going to be more competent with an offensive-minded head coach in Monken.
Njoku was just phased out. It started, he was the guy.
Do you like Monken or not? Do you think he can do better than what they've done?
I think he can do better than what they have done, but quarterback is just it's the most important position in professional sports, because if you don't have one, and I mean, like we saw it last year, with Jacoby Brissett, he's at least competent. Can Shedeur elevate his game where he's not dead last in EPA and he's actually a competent quarterback? Because he was not last year.
I mean, he was competent enough to give Fannin some really good numbers.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Fannin was the tight end 5 with a missed game and an injury in his second to last game.
And they grabbed Spencer Fano, number 9, in the draft at offensive tackle, even ahead of adding Concepcion in Boston. I hate these middle round tight ends, but I love Fannin so much.
And you're convulsing a little bit.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Anytime that you have just kind of a cloud of misery hanging over a team, I think there's opportunity in fantasy. It's going to depress values in ADP. The Cardinals are going to be depressed. I'm depressed because I'm a Cardinal fan, but the values are going to be depressed. We saw a horrific Cardinals team put up great offensive numbers with multiple number 1 options in McBride and Wilson.
But they had one of the worst defenses in the league in that stretch, whereas the Browns have I know they lost Myles Garrett, but they've still got a very good defense.
They're going to lose almost all their games. That's all that matters to me, is that the Cardinals are going to win maybe a game this year. The Browns are going to win maybe 2. And they're going to be trailing. They're going to throw the football.
Okay.
Fannin was prolific.
So that turns the conversation then into Quinshon Judkins, who,
he'll get it all.
Great prospects.
Also was great as a rookie. You look at the numbers and you're like, oh, he didn't rush for a lot per carry. The offensive line was trash. You watch the games, he looked the part on the NFL field. It was not his fault that they were always down. And
I'm much more on Jason's side on this. I don't care about the yards per carry number for him at all.
Well, okay, not even yards per carry. 67% of his runs were 3 or fewer yards.
I mean that's yards per carry.
But that's effectiveness. That's efficiency.
Yeah,
I agree. Maybe the offensive line is not the best, but that's the worst rate in the NFL.
No, I'm
for that
out.
for a player getting that amount of volume to not even be able to hit 3 yards on 67% of your carries. That's a big deal. I mean, that's bad.
The numbers were bad for Ginty on his yards per carry. I mean, you are up against it when you have no quarterback play and you don't have the opportunity for the defense to focus on anything else. That's all I'm saying. And Monken's a better strategist. They have a better offensive line, and I'll take a 22-year-old running back who passed the eye test to me. That's all I'm saying.
I will too, but
I don't like losing teams. I'm not going to put him at the top of my list.
I don't think I'm going to do it this year. I want to give Judkins his props and just say he's a really good running back. But like you said, they're going to be losing games.
I'd rather have him.
They're going to be losing games, and they're not going to score a ton of touchdowns. This isn't the situation. They don't have a good offensive line, even though they added Spencer Fano. I think I would much rather go in on the passing than the running game.
Let's have the conversation around this division then. Jalen Warren or Quinshon Judkins, because Warren is behind him in ADP.
Warren.
See, I'll take Judkins. I'll take the workload. David Montgomery or Quinshon Judkins. Montgomery's 2 spots behind him.
I'll take Montgomery.
Jadarian Price is just behind him.
Price will go up, though.
Ramondre Stevenson or Quinshon Judkins.
That one's
I'm going to make you say some name that you don't like.
I will take
here.
Judkins there.
Mike, you're going to answer.
It's probably Ramondre.
DeAndre Swift.
Oh, that's easy, Swift.
Those are the guys going. So it's like Tootin, Swift, Judkins in drafts.
Most of those guys I would take over Judkins simply because of the Browns Judkins, situation, and I do too.
I love the player. I just don't know what the ceiling cap is.
Yeah, he is.
Could he be
really?
Could he be a top 15 back if things went right? That's kind of
a part of that discussion that is the targets, and I'm not saying Judkins can't do that. Like, we have some evidence in college that he can, but what we saw with Monken, with Derrick Henry, when it was time to pass the ball, Derrick Henry's off the field.
You're saying this is a Dylan Sampson?
And Dylan Sampson last year he saw 40 targets.
Samsonite
as a rookie.
That's all I think of.
It's so stupid.
Like, that's a question that we need training camp to hopefully answer for us, is how does Monken view the offense? Like, is Judkins to him going to be on the field when when game script is great, or will he just be a 3-down guy? That I don't think we have the answer to yet.
Start making your notes on your division order.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, because we got to predict this division as we wrap it up. I don't know if there are any other big questions around Cleveland other than whether you'd take a shot on either of the rookie wide receivers. I think both are fine to take a shot on because they'll be very cheap.
For the Browns?
Yeah, I mean, I would,
yes.
Like Denzel Boston is he's a perfect last round pick in fantasy because you will not have to spend anything higher than that. He's made a lot of headlines.
What's difficult? A lot like the lottery ticket you were just talking about with the Ravens, where you've got to then get the right
but he's
rookie.
at least a second rounder,
and they're the one. I mean, you got the chance to be the one in the team. Like Zay Flowers, you're battling to be the 3 or the 2.
Just a reminder, because when we said it, Jerry Jeudy's still on this team, and Isaiah Bond has been getting a lot of off-season hype around him.
Yep.
So the depth chart for the Browns is actually pretty murky right now at the wide receiver spot.
Would you draft Jerry Jeudy in a Jerry Jeudy only league?
No, I would quit.
You'd pass?
I would quit the league.
Yeah.
My division
I'll take zeros.
Winner is Baltimore, followed by Cincinnati, then Pittsburgh, then Cleveland.
I have Cincinnati winning the division.
I figured you would.
Baltimore will go second, and then Steelers and Cleveland.
Jason?
I've got Baltimore winning the division. I've got Pittsburgh second with the defense, Cincy third, and Cleveland is the free bingo square.
On Thursday, we will talk AFC South. And as a reminder, again, 3 shows a week. So we'll have a Saturday episode of the podcast.
Oh, man, your lawn doesn't stand a chance.
No, it
this
doesn't.
Weekend.
It does not. And we will mix in some mock draft episodes in between divisional breakdowns as well. As we close things out, the Ultimate Draft Kit, go to ultimatedraftkit.com. The Draft Analyzer is live right now. And, getting down to the final reminders here, there are only a handful of tickets left, but the Fantasy Footballers Live Megala Show in Phoenix here, presented by SiriusXM and sponsored by GMC and PetSmart. Friday, August 28th at the Van Buren in Phoenix. Ballerslive.com is where you get tickets. There are a few mezzanine tickets left. There are a few kind of other floor tickets scattered around if you want to pick one up.
They're there, but they're going fast.
It's going to be amazing. We want to see the Foot Clan there. You guys are awesome. It is never lost on us on how amazing our listenership is and your loyalty to the show and to fantasy football and all of the shenanigans on this podcast. We love you guys. So that'll do it for today's episode. For Andy, Mike, and Jason, we got the Deucers back there, Al Borland, Papa Josh, and the Falcon, born in 1996. Yeah. We'll see you later.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.